So we're here today with Trevor Scott from RFK Kitchens in Rugby, based in Rugby, but sells kitchens other than Rugby. We've discussed that previously. And we're here to offer some smart advice and solutions to the industry and share some knowledge. So the first question to ask you, Trevor, is what year did you start in the industry and who did you work for?
It's a long time ago now, 1979. I worked for a kitchen manufacturer called Manhattan Furniture in Lancing in West Sussex. Personally, I had nothing to do with kitchens. I was a retail sales coordinator for them. It was an administrative job, but it is off the back of that job that I fell in love with this industry.
Right, okay, so did you witness or watch somebody design a kitchen? I'd like to do that.
Yes, I mean, what fundamentally happened there was that I got bored with my day-to-day job of administering the sales of these kitchens, and I started nagging and pestering to be taught how to design kitchens.
Do salespeople like administration?
No, none of us like doing the booklet, do we?
Good. So after you did your administration and then you decided that you'd like to design a kitchen, where did you go from there?
Well, I started working for a company in Birmingham called Eurodesign 2000, who were the rational importers at the time, German brand. And I was designing kitchens on their contracts division for the likes of Bovis Homes and Barrett's and such like.
So multiples of,
yes,
left and rights and that,
That was where I really got fine-tuned into economic design as much as anything else. You know,
practical kitchens,
1200 base unit rather than 3/4s, that kind of thing. And from there, I worked for a retailer in Leicester, Ambassador Kitchens, for Alf Norris, who at the time had been the first chair of the KSA. But I wanted to go on the road, so after I left him, I worked for Elica.
Is that because you saw B2B sales guys and girls come in and decided, actually, I'd like to try that because it looked more glamorous? Or?
I don't know about whether it looked more glamorous, but I was a young man and I was flexing my wings and I wanted to
out and about,
wanted to get out and about.
More experience and more
all of that. So worked for Elica, broke the East Midlands for them, opened that territory up. Thoroughly enjoyed it, but realised fairly quickly that I was more into furniture than appliances. So I switched to Burbage, and I was their area sales manager, then national sales manager.
Selling kitchen doors?
Kitchen doors to component manufacturers. And I worked for them for nearly 6 years, all the way through the 80s. We pretty much doubled the size of the company in that 5-year period.
So you watched what other retailers were doing and thought, actually, I could do that myself.
That was where my mind was starting to go. But the recession, the 1989 to 91 recession really stalled my career working within the industry. And by the time we got to 93, it was pretty clear that I needed to start my own business, and so RFK was born.
Could you work for somebody else today, Trevor?
No, I'm unemployable.
That's it. Good. Okay. So what good advice can you offer other people, let's say in the B2B sales manager marketplace, where they're going to see a retailer? What advice can you offer a sales manager when they're there to support a retailer?
Well, listen to what the retailer needs. And one of the things the retailer needs is that manager makes appointments and doesn't just tip up.
So this is firm appointments?
Firm appointments, all day long. There's nothing more annoying. And as a retailer, 27 years experience now, it's nothing more annoying than having reps breaking up your day, just coming in unannounced. You need to have a structured justification for that meeting and to run through it. So
you're suggesting that a sales manager should ask what your needs are, what your frustrations are, to try and offer a solution?
It's about building partnerships. It's not as straightforward as being a supplier. It's about building partnerships and business relationships with suppliers.
So just interesting point. So out of 100%, what percentage of sales managers coming in would do all the talking first and ask questions later?
It's probably 50-50.
Is it?
Yeah. Nowadays, perhaps because of the size of the business we are and our own level of professionalism, we're only really dealing with mainstream reps from or business development managers from major suppliers, from the bigger suppliers, and their level of professionalism is that much higher.
Do you think that's because they are better trained by the manufacturer?
I'm sure. I'm sure it is. It's down. Much of it is down to the quality of training.
Internal training, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. If somebody wanted to set up in today's marketplace, could you offer any smart advice on how best to do that?
Well, in my notes for this question, I said don't do it. But if you're that determined and it's the industry that you love and it's what you want to do, the key piece of advice I would give to anybody is make sure you're well financed.
This is cash flow.
Cash flow, yeah. You cannot believe the amount of expense that is involved in setting up a KBB showroom.
Right. So you've got a basic blank piece of paper. You think it may only be a few displays, but actually it's a lot bigger picture.
It costs a fortune to do the job well, and to not just be a little bucket shop round a back street. Yeah. It's going to cost you £100,000 minimum to set up a showroom.
And then having the cash flow to sustain,
and you've then got
paying on time and so forth.
You've got to be looking at 6 months of earning no money realistically. And you've got to have the cash flow and the cash behind you to be able to support.
Potentially where people set up and then they go, pop after a year, they haven't perhaps thought about it, and that's
the majority of business failings, new startups, is within the first 12 months. And nearly always it's down to poor cash flow management.
Okay, so let's say we're now in a situation where we've got that showroom set up. So what smart advice can you offer in terms of how to be successful with the customers that are coming in?
Learn to listen to the customer's needs and then satisfy their needs is one of the key areas, I would say.
So asking questions.
Asking questions first, but listening to the answers. Far too many salespeople like the sounds of their own voices. And they've got to remember that it's the consumer that is driving this conversation. You can redirect it and keep it on track and take it where you want it to go, but you've got to listen to what they're after. It's no good selling a white high-gloss German handless kitchen to somebody who's come in wanting a sky blue painted shaker kitchen.
That's right,
and if you don't ask them the question and listen to the answer, you're going to be hiding to nothing.
Do you think consumers coming actually know what they want to buy?
It's becoming. I think they're becoming much more savvy,
more knowledgeable.
Yeah, because the internet is making it so accessible. We ask the question by far and away. The vast majority of our customers now, I can't put a percentage on it, but a high percentage of customers do all their research online before they make their first visit into the showroom.
So coming in as like experts almost.
And they're asking
challenging.
They're asking difficult questions right from the off because they already potentially know the answers, and they just want to know whether or not you're going to provide the correct answer.
Interesting. So it comes back to integrity, honesty, and so when you're dealing with that's the advice you would offer anybody else listening.
That's it. And this comes back to where you started with training. Product training from suppliers and such like is key and is very important. Having that expert knowledge base and being able to speak with confidence about the products that you're offering. No umming and ahhing, no hesitation, understanding exactly what the features and benefits are of that induction hob versus this induction hob, etc.
If the customer picks up, you're not 100% sure about what you're talking about, they can backpedal.
Yeah, exactly. My youngest son, Toby, is 23 now, so still a very young man. He started with us when he was 18.
Okay.
You could see people's shoulders dropping when they were getting the sprog. But you could see the confidence coming back into them and their chests puffing out when they realised that he knew what he was talking about, even though he was just a young lad.
So that's because you recognise that, and obviously you've helped him to be that person to make that difference.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
exactly.
Okay, that's good advice. So what you're saying is you can't be an expert at everything, but learn what you're there to sell and be an expert at it. And let's say we talked about the B2B sales guys coming or sales girls. It's important to utilise their knowledge in order to understand the customer needs to understand. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we are.
The training's
we're kitchen specialists. Yeah. We're not trying to sell baked beans here.
It's quite technical, isn't it?
It's a technical product. Yeah. There's a lot of depth of expertise required in it. A lot of product knowledge required in it. The technical side of understanding the complications of installation are something that I think a lot of kitchen salespeople don't get at all. But we make sure all of our staff understand the importance of the technical side of what can go wrong with an installation, what to look out for as a consequence.
Yes, the practicalities.
Practicalities of it, yeah. So these things are all fundamentally important.
So Trevor, you mentioned their installers. So I think we both agree the installers are so important part of the overall service package to the customer. So how do you or your business find fitters? That's the first question. And how do you retain their loyalty?
Well, if I knew the secret to how to find good installers, then I would start a business employing them. It's very, very difficult to find good installers. And it's one of the biggest areas that there's a stumbling block to growth, because we can probably sell more kitchens than we can fit.
So how many kitchens are you fitting per
week? On average week, including contract, 5 to 7 kitchens a week.
Okay.
And that requires a lot of resource, a lot of installer resource.
Absolutely, a lot of organisation.
Many of the retail jobs will be 2 or even 3 week projects with a lot of other work involved in it other than just straight cabinetry installation.
So where do you actually find fitters from? Is it word of mouth?
We advertise for them, and it's word of mouth as well.
Okay.
We put the word out that we're looking, and
we see all subcontract fitters.
Our installers are always subcontract,
okay.
Yes.
And then you guys will take the payment from the customer for the installation as well.
No.
So you do that differently.
No, on the retail model part of the business, we are effectively a supply-only business.
Right.
And we sell installation as an on-seller for the installer, whereby we will warranty and guarantee that installation, but we don't handle the money for it.
Okay, customer pays the
customer
fitter
pays the
when
fitter
they're happy with the installation.
On completion, that's right.
Okay.
What that does is it focuses everybody's mind on doing a good job. We stay in control of the money. We've had the deposit for the furniture and the appliances. We've been paid in full for that on delivery. The installation fee, which is usually in the region of 10 to 15% of the job value, that doesn't become due until completion.
Okay.
Now the fitter wants to get paid, so he's going to do a good job. His mind is focused on doing a good job, so he will do a good job. He'll chase us for remedials or broken or damaged items to get them turned around as quickly as possible.
Still helping in that respect, of
yes,
course you are.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. We're not abandoning the customer or the fitters.
So how do you retain that installer to carry on wanting to fit for you? What's the magic there?
Money.
As simple as that.
It's as simple as that. If they're earning enough money from us, and
it's a very direct, honest answer.
But it's true.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's true. If we're employing those installers, the market will only sustain a certain price point. So we've got to pay those installers less money to cover our overhead and the VAT element of an installation service that was in-house. By having it as an external service, we're on the one hand saving the consumer that VAT element, because they're dealing direct with the installer who isn't registered, but at the same time the installer is earning all of the money himself. There's none coming off the top for us.
Okay.
So they're making good money.
So that money the customer gives the installer is their money.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about your son earlier on in terms of training him to basically deliver a service that you've delivered over the years, and that's why you've been successful, Trevor. So what advice can you offer other retailers in terms of how do they train their staff in general, whether that be kitchen design training or sales training or product training? What advice can you offer, and how important is it?
Training is ultimately very important. The difficulty in this industry, sadly, is the scarcity of it. Right. There is so little training that isn't product specific. Right. The training that you can get from manufacturers and suppliers, furniture and appliances, is generally speaking very good, but it's mostly product biased. So it's all about broadening your knowledge base.
So do you think then the manufacturer should perhaps review not just training on their products, but let's assume they're in a sole-based situation. They could perhaps offer alternatives, like for example, digital marketing, sales training, whatever it might be, to be a successful business?
I think there is an element of that, but I think in the KBB side of the industry, the furniture manufacturers are the ones that really need to do more, because they're the guys that are trying to sell the dream of the complete project. The appliances tend to look after themselves. People like Neff, for the sake of argument, they do a fantastic job of marketing, and their brand awareness is second to none in the UK. And we feed off the back of that, and the level of training that our staff have got on Neff is second to none. So we're very expert in that product. But when it comes to the furniture, we're pretty much left on our own. We get very, very little training from any of the furniture manufacturers.
So on the back of that, is there perhaps a suggestion you could offer the industry in terms of where or which body should be creating a registry of training providers?
Well, I would respectfully suggest that is possibly the government's job. Right. But of course, we're not getting any support from the government for anything to do with training in the
So right at the top, basically, we're talking here.
Yeah, it needs to filter down, trickle down. The KBB industry needs to be taken seriously by industry and by government. You know, we're a very, very definite part of the construction industry, and nowhere near enough emphasis is being put on the training needs of that sector within the construction industry.
I guess even if the VAT was reviewed in terms of the contribution, but actually utilising that potentially for training.
That's a potential way of diverting some of the income stream into
professional standards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to have letters after my name. I'd love to be an accredited kitchen designer. Nothing would please me more.
Yeah.
And I feel sure.
Well, you talk about it, wouldn't you, with your customers?
Of course you would do. Yeah. And everybody likes an accredited designer. But I've got nothing to prove that I know what I'm doing. Nothing at all other than experience.
So talking about designers then. So over the years, what methods have you utilised to recruit kitchen sales designers? What's worked for you?
Well, this sometimes is where the reps, the business managers, come in handy. They're the guys that are on the ground and they're visiting other kitchen studios on a daily basis. And if we're looking for a new designer, the first port of call is, do you know anybody who's looking to make a move?
Yeah.
Are they any good?
Yeah.
Can you recommend anybody?
So referrals are very strong anyway, aren't they, to be fair?
Yeah, it's always a very good starting point. We do use agencies. Sadly, up to now, we haven't used yours. We'll probably cut that bit, but
so it's always the first.
But that could always change in the future.
That's right.
But in general, one of the things we have found with so-called experienced kitchen designers is that they come with a lot of baggage, and sometimes that's not.
Well, I was going to ask
good
you
baggage.
that. Should we employ a designer, or should we employ a designer and a salesperson, or should we employ, let's say, somebody who wants to learn and do it your way?
Yeah. Well, you say your way. That's a very good lead-in, really, because as a business we have our own sales training manual that we created called the RFK Way,
right.
And
So this is the process you'd like your staff to follow.
Exactly. Yes.
Perfect.
And we've learned over the years that our most
That's
loyal
good
staff,
advice, yeah. Other people, yeah.
Our most loyal staff have been those that we've trained internally that have come through.
These are proven, tried and tested ways of making it work. Yeah.
So the only habits they've got then are our habits rather than bad habits they've brought into us.
So almost you're suggesting, this is the advice, is for people to take a step back on time and effort and actually produce some kind of documentation, some kind of process that everybody signs up to, and that's there forever.
Yeah. Well, all elements
tried and tested.
Yeah, and all elements of business, including training, is about process management. It's about getting the job from the point when the client first comes into the showroom to the point when they finally sign the satisfaction note and offer you a recommendation. And it's all process management, and you can define all of it all the way through that.
How does RFK Kitchens, in terms of the communication on that process, how do you communicate which stage the kitchen project's at with the customer? Do you do anything different that perhaps you'd like to share? Or?
I don't know whether they do anything particularly differently, but communication is king. The one thing that consumers hate is not knowing what's happening.
Not knowing what's going on.
No, exactly. So
you have like an internal admin department to do that, or is it by individual design?
Our design teams work as like pods, basically. We have a lead designer and then a junior that works with them, and they manage their clients. But we have like a shared, a communal design area, so everybody knows everybody else's clients.
So
and everybody's
if the phone
business
rings and they know what's going on, that's quite smart. That's good advice too.
But we have an individual
silo situations,
and we have one individual who is responsible exclusively for looking after remedials and after sales.
Okay.
So there is a complete follow through.
Yeah. So the priority is getting the remedial items sorted out and installed, and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good advice too. So in terms of marketing the business, everyone's talking about digital marketing. What do you guys do in terms of that?
Well, we recognised a long time ago that the power of the internet and the power of social media was going to only grow and get stronger. So we got in quite early with that. But we also quickly recognised, and certainly I did personally, that I don't have the skill sets to do it myself.
Right.
So we employed a small one-man band marketing agency. Was based locally in Rugby, but is now funnily enough, in Cumbria. But it doesn't matter because everything is done electronically.
It could be Australia.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's all done electronically.
Yeah.
But in liaison with him,
he gets your brand and understands where you are.
He's been with us for 10 years, so he understands us perfectly.
So he must be a very important person, I would imagine, in your business.
Well, I don't like to tell him that too. He'll want more money.
If you want to,
You keep it in, he'll just want more money. No, but he is very important, and he basically is the glue that holds together all of our marketing. So our print advertising, which we still do some of.
Still doing some print advertising?
So, but mostly in the glossies.
Okay. More quality magazine market.
Yeah. The local,
once a month type thing, whatever. Once a quarter.
Yeah, local newspapers dead.
Really?
Forget them.
Okay. So your advice to other KB retailers could be think about where you proportion your marketing spend.
Yeah.
Maybe not the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, as a business, and you've tongue-tied yourself over this yourself. We've stopped being Rugby fitted kitchens and are now RFK kitchens because we want to appeal to a broader audience than just the parochial market in Rugby. and we're advertising in the national.
Like a rebrand almost, isn't it?
It was this some years ago now, but we advertise in the national glossies. We focus heavily on testimonials and getting case studies.
So it's a
printed
wider
as well.
catchment area potentially.
It broadens your market base. And if you're in the mid to higher end of the market, and, I mean, we're not in the £100,000 kitchen market, but we're certainly in the £30,000 to £60,000 market. It's fairly high end. Yes. And in an average Midlands market town, you're not going to get that many people who've got 60 grand to spend on a kitchen. Right. So inevitably, you've got to go further afield to find them.
Yeah, to your market. Find your right market. So in terms of where we are in today's marketplace, we've obviously got Brexit still not being completed. We're now on the way to an election. This will go out, this film, in January, so that will be past and gone.
Well, it probably won't be, actually, will it? That's the trouble.
It may be the case, yeah. So what sort of anecdotal information do your team give you about Brexit or elections in terms of where we are on sales?
Well, news never has travelled so fast since the days of the internet came on stream. Back in the day, Napoleon lost the Battle of Waterloo, and 2 months later, the British public got to find out about it. Today, if Napoleon farted, we'd know about it. Probably shouldn't have said that. Today, if Napoleon passed wind, we'd know about it by tea time.
Yes.
And it's the same with bad news with the likes of Brexit.
Yes.
It travels so quickly, and the marketplace is very, very nervous at the moment.
Do you think the clever retailer utilise that as a close?
We have done. We have used it as a close. We've used Brexit busting deals as being a close. We've done banner headlines on the showroom windows. But 3.5 years in, that message is a little bit tired now.
That's the point.
It's how many times can you bang that drum?
We'll have a post-Brexit sale. We'll do something different.
Yes, that's going to be that sort of thing.
So in terms of, like, if you think about all over your career in KBB, can you relate something that's amusing to our watchers, listeners, but that we can learn off that amusing story?
Well, I don't know whether you can learn from this or not, other than make good coffee. But when we first opened the business in 1993, we had a lovely cream shaker display in the front window. It was the first shaker display in Rugby. And a particularly rainy Thursday, I think it was, a couple of little old dears came in, they shook off their umbrellas and they sat down at the breakfast bar and they go, this is very nice, isn't it? And I went up to them after a few minutes because they hadn't moved around the showroom and asked them if I could help them, and they tried to order a pot of tea for two and some tea cakes. And I tried desperately to explain.
Kitchen shop,
Yes, exactly. They were at a very nice breakfast bar. And I tried to explain to them we weren't a cafe, but they got
a cup of coffee anyway.
No, not on this case. No, they took umbrage and they put their coats on. Off they went, moaning about the poor service.
Funny, yeah.
Because the irony is today is that everybody who walks in our showroom gets offered a cup of coffee.
So Trevor, thank you very much for sharing some very great advice, actually, to be fair, to other people that may be considering retailing or actually retailing today, and the benefit of your experience obviously go down very well in terms of some smart advice. So if you've liked what you've seen today, press the like button on your screen or tablet or phone in front of you, and if you'd like to get notified for future Legends series, if you're watching on YouTube, press the little bell button on your screen, and we like to see the comments. Will be good too, to understand what you've seen today that you actually liked or you can use in your business. Thank you very much, Trevor, for being a legend.
Thank you very much, Simon. A legend in my own lifetime. Unbelievable.
There you go.